Welcome to Conversations with Garmamie. This is episode number 33. Our guest is Queeverne Kirk, also known as Q. She's a Tobagonian Canadian spoken word artist, author, and dub poet from Toronto, Canada, who previously gained recognition in Ottawa, Canada as Q the Romantic Revolutionary. She's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation's 2005 and 2007 Poetry Face-Off All-Star winner in Ottawa. After being crowned the Queen of Spoken Word, Q went on to publish her most recent poetry collection, Alpha of Omega, available at blurb.ca in 2014. It's described as a poetic description of her journey of self-discovery, which explores the themes of peace, love, overstanding, and home. Since returning to Toronto in 2015, this poetic empress is now in the works of completing her highly anticipated dub poetry album, Ah Home, due to be released in the summer of 2016. We'll speak to Q about her journey into poetry, as well as the themes of peace, love, overstanding, and home.
I'm standing on stage with my eyes closed, wide open to the crowd. They're anticipating my words spoken. So I push play on my heart, record on my paper, and I recite this poem. Close your eyes, Q, open your mouth and speak. They're waiting. Close your eyes, Q, open your mouth and speak, they're waiting. Close your eyes, Q, open your mouth and speak, they're waiting. Wait, is this even the right poem? Who cares? I'm feeling it though. It's like my time machine with no gimmicks or gadgets, and I can remember that I was angry when I first wrote this. My blood was boiling, my pulse is racing, and I'm getting angry again. My fists are clenched, and it's hot. But I'm getting colder. That's confusing to you, but you see, to me, poetry is a song to me. And this stage is my home to be. But is this even the right poem, man? Who cares? I'm feeling it, though. You see, my poetry brings me back to licking condensed milk off toast. And I swear to God that I tasted heaven. You see, my poetry is my calypso poem. It shows me that history can be found in the melody of text and not only textbooks. You see, my poetry is my Bob Marley poem, conscious, right? So conscious that when you close your eyes, you swear to God that you saw thoughts fly. You see, that's what my poetry is to me. And every time they ask me, Q, why you do poetry, it's simple. I don't want to stop playing my drum. I don't want to stop playing my heart. I don't want to stop playing my love. See, every time they ask me, Q, why you do poetry, it's simple. I don't want to stop playing my life because I'm feeling this poem. Thanks.
You're good?
Yeah.
All right. So we're on the campus. We're at the Carleton University campus right now, and you graduated when did you graduate?
I left Carleton back in 2005. Was my final year here, yeah.
Wow. So let's travel back in time to 2005. Tell us about where you were back then, in your mind, in your heart, in your soul as an artist and as Queeverne.
Wow. Thank you for picking that perspective. Like if you just said 2005, that'll be too broad. But where was I? In 2005 was a time of searching. That's what it was for me at that point in time. It was a transition time in my life, stepping into the workforce. As an artist, I had just recently won the CBC Poetry Face-Off in March of that year. And what big credit and kind of a credit to have to your artwork, to being recognized by Canadian Broadcasting Company. And at the time, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know how to take that recognition. You know, as an artist, for me, performing was simply just a form of self-expression. You know, simply just a form of getting on stage and expressing myself because I was going through something, or I had some searching or some question that needed answers, and my poetry was the best form of doing that. So a lot of the words that you hear around that time, a lot of the performances and so forth, the poetry really is reflective of that transition and that searching at that time. And even after winning, the Poetry Face-Off in '05, personally, I didn't know how to take it because I had so many people showing me love. And, Q, we love you, and that sounds so great, and you're amazing. And I didn't have that love fully within myself. And so I always used to disappear after I come off stage because I'm like, I don't know how to take this love. I don't get what you see, So yeah, that was that time. Surprisingly, I don't think most people would know that perspective from that story, but that was that time. If you go back then, that's what you'll see.
When you say you didn't know how to take people's love and appreciation for your performance, your why was that?
I'm a genuine person. My words are very important to me. When I speak, I mean it. If you don't understand it, that's one thing, but when I speak, I mean it. When I tell you I love you, I mean that, right? Even if you're a stranger, I can love a stranger. You can see beauty in strange things and strange people that you haven't met. So as a stranger, yeah, I can see and say I love you, but I didn't feel that love within myself for people to see, and when they said they loved me back, well, that was amazing. Also, even as an artist, I didn't see my gift being super special because it was an ability to write, which everybody around me in my circle had, ability to think and put your thoughts on paper. So I didn't see my gift too special, So I didn't understand this love and this accolade until, one, I found a love within myself. And the second is when my art had purpose, right? And with purpose now, I understood. I understood the accolades. I understood, because it's love I'm sharing, so they feel it. So they're supposed to love it. They're supposed to feel it because I'm sharing the love. So now I get it. So I'll take the love when you say it now. It means I did my job, and I was like, yes. So, yeah.
If you were to meet someone, let's say, on the street, so you live in Toronto now, yeah?
Right.
Yeah, so, and they looked at you and they asked, tell us who you are in 5 words.
Yes.
What 5 words would you use to describe yourself? What 5 words come to mind?
Tell us who you are.
In 5 words.
In 5 words.
Tell us who you are. It doesn't have to be a string.
I know the only thing I can think of is when I look at someone, I say, I am your reflection.
Wow. And that's 5 words, isn't it?
I don't know.
No,
it's 4.
It's
4.
I guess exclamation mark.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. I am your reflection. That's what I believe. That's what I see. That's what I hold true. And when I see somebody else, you know what I mean. If you see love and you feel love, it means that you have that in yourself. You know what I mean? Because that's why we connected. That's why we feel that connection. If you see me and you see fear, then check within yourself. And the reason why I say that, not to be boasty or anything like that, I know myself to be a genuine person. I've trained and practiced purposely to be good. And you go through a period of your life where it's okay to do that. You know what I mean? Okay to take time within yourself and meditate and say, was that choice a good choice? Did it have a positive impact, not just today but tomorrow? So I took time within my life to figure those things out. So I don't question myself anymore when I do things because I know genuinely they're good. So when I see someone, I see goodness in you, right? And so I reflect that. So if you were to tell me who you are, I am your reflection. The reason why you stopped me and even had the confidence to even ask that question is because there was something about me that probably was interesting or caught your attention that you probably had within you too. Either it's something that you want to be more of or something that, something that balances you.
How did you cultivate your personal and professional development along with your artistic development? Because it seems to me like from having spoken to you over the years that you've gone through many challenges, right? You know, life brings us many challenges, right? And it's how we deal with these challenges that determine our victory dance or what have you. And you seem to have gone through many transformations, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about these transformations. And I know I'm putting you on the spot, obviously, and a lot of them are personal. But tell us about your transformation and relate that to your artistic work and your life and journey.
My transfer, I'll be honest with you, there haven't been transformations.
Okay.
There's been one actualization.
Wow.
And that actualization has made a huge difference in how I live my life, and has made a huge difference in that aspect. And that actualization is that I am a Rastafari. It's something that, it's my belief system, is something that I hold dear. My devotion to the Most High of creation is something that is a central part of who I am. I always walked as an open person spiritually. I always walked as a person seeking knowledge and understanding myself and understanding the African self. You know, one of the central points, kind of mantras within the Rastafari movement is this aspect of one love, right? But what is one love? And the first thing I had to learn was the love for myself, my self-love. It gave me, loving myself made it much easier to understand that I'm a reflection of love. So when I get those accolades on stage, it's okay to accept them because you see that in others too. Right, so my liberty was that form of transformation. Being someone, you know, I always kind of lived an open life in terms of spirituality, but you know what the Most High in His Majesty reminds us is that this liberty is an individual spiritual way of life. You choose to live a spiritual way first, and in that, in living a spiritual lifestyle, my art has purpose. You know. It's a gift that has purpose to share and bring everyone back to one love, to loving each and every human being, loving the planet as one itself. So now as an artist, I'm not on stage to celebrate myself. I'm on stage with a responsibility that I will be held accountable for every night when I close my eyes and I meditate. So, and I give thanks for life, I should say. You know, I'm held accountable for my actions and my art and so forth. So my liberty is what changed my life. My physical change even happened because of my liberty. I've gone through years of going to doctors and getting help and being on diets and so forth and losing 50 pounds, gaining 70 and so forth. And I went through a major change, and it went through about a plateau after I think I lost my first 60 pounds. It plateaued for about 2 years. And one of the things that changed my life is within my liberty, having an overstanding of my body and this vehicle and what it is, and that it needs the natural sources of food that's around us in order to sustain and to move and to grow. And so I have that overstanding and I use it, you know, and fuel my body in a very different way and think about my mind as opposed to thinking about my hunger, you know. And my liberty is really my awareness that I am an African woman, understanding who I am as a woman, my femininity, that divine power in that sense, understanding my necessary balance that's required in this world. Those responsibilities that I'm held accountable for changed my life. Everything I do is work, and I love my job. I love it, you know, because it is my life. So a lot of people look and they say, oh my God, you've changed so much. I don't see myself as changing in those transformations. What I see is that I've lived a certain life. I used to talk the talk a lot without walking the walk, right? And so I didn't understand that fully. So I just started to walk the walk. And not to say my talk was bad. I just never walked it. You know what I mean? So I started to walk it. It was really that simple to me. But those are the hardest decisions to make, because they're decisions that you have to make by yourself at night, you know, when you close your eyes, taking responsibility for the little things and so forth. So anyways, that was my awareness as opposed to my transformation. So the Most High, I give thanks every night to creation. I I give thanks to the Most High, His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, Empress Menenai, reflection of balance within I and I, example of balance for I and I, bring me back to honoring and respecting creation, having purpose in my art. How could I not be grateful for that? And that liberty puts a smile on my face every day.
How has that actualization, Q, how has that reframed or what impact has it had with people and your relationships to them? Friends, family, acquaintances, fellow artists. How has that been received?
I don't know how it's been received. I haven't asked them. I'll be honest with you. I'll be aware. I can tell you how it's changed for I. I have a new awareness of life and kind of new perspective and so forth. I share love in a much different way, but a much more continuous way. You know what I mean? Than I did before, or should I say I'm less aware? I don't know. I just love my family and friends more than I did before. But I also understand who they are now, right? I have such a respect for myself, understanding who I am as a human being, as a spiritual being, and so forth. And I'm very sensitive to when people are rude or disrespectful or don't show genuine care and love towards other people or even towards I. So I've very kind of harsh in a way of limiting my circle, but it's necessary for your protection, and your growth, and it's something that I encourage anyone to do. If something in your heart gives you fear, don't be afraid to let it go. There is no fear when there's love, and if there's fear, there's something's missing, right? So those are the types of changes that started to happen, but my friends and my circle of friends have not changed. They've been the same really for the 10, 15 years and so forth. Artists, my artist circle has changed and is growing and developing. And in that case, to be honest with you, I still really walk by myself a lot still. I don't really walk with a collective of people or group of X, Y, and Z. Again, being Rastafari and individuality is celebrated, so I celebrate my individuality. But at the same time, in my own experience, a lot of egos are celebrated, and I'm not one for celebrating myself all the time. You know what I mean? Like I want people to find what is in them to celebrate. That's my job and my purpose. So I just wasn't I wasn't comfortable in an environment of self-promotion constantly, and I found in my own experience I had that a lot. So my way of life now puts me in that awareness that if I start to sense that around me, I just step back. And it's really easy for me to do. I don't think of it twice, because when I do that, things work out, so I just keep doing that.
It's interesting because I remember 10 years ago, even maybe 12 years ago, from having met you at Carleton, you were not one of these self-promoting, blah, 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 fill in the blank type of people, And I think over the years, as I was telling you before, it seems like you've always kept consistently you and authentic in the sense, do you know what I mean? Where you're not like some because in the performance realm, in any performance art, especially with poetry or any art, in my opinion, there's always a need to promote, but sometimes there's more promotion than there is art.
Yes, yeah. I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get it.
And you see, like I once told someone, I'll get to the question real quick, but like. One thing I learned from the poetry scene, from being involved, it's like a crash. It's a PhD in self-promotion and delusionalism.
No, for real.
You know what I mean?
For real.
But
no.
Why is that? If you agree with me with that, like elaborate as to why is it that what's up with this scene? And I don't know what it is now, because
I'll
whatever.
be completely honest. I cannot give an opinion, but I can tell you my experience.
Please.
Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't know. It still baffles me. But my experience coming into art, and my poetry, my art for me has always been, again, my way of expressing myself. It's always been whenever I'm going through a troubling time, I would turn towards my writing. Now that I'm in a sense of awareness and understand my liberty as a Rastafari, I understand that's the Most High speaking to me and guiding me through my difficult times. I would go through something, write a poem, and then feel better at the end of the day. I don't have this knowledge, but I have now this sense of peace. So that's what my art has been to me, right? Today, with it having purpose, I know that this is my gift and responsibility. I use it practically to bring people back together, find the eye inside, doing after-school workshops, things of that nature, to help build and help grow. It's always been that way for me, right? From ever since I was 19, ever since before that. So stepping into the poetry scene as that type of artist, and kind of mixing with others and so forth, everyone was really just about how great they are being poets. Okay, I think you're cool too. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, for real. Yeah. I'm like, I think you're cool too. What do you have to say? Right. And then after I'll listen, be like, I'm cool. I'm like, I think you're cool too. What do you got to say? Yeah, look how cool I am. I'm a poet. Like, this is how cool you could be being a poet. Be a poet because you could be cool. I'm just like, okay, what do you have to say? Like, you know what I mean? Or it was, or what would get me a lot is people who, I'm trying to remember, there was one poem I did. It was at the first Word Olympics. Spoken Word Olympics. What was Canadian Festival of Spoken Word is what it's called now. But when we first did that event, the poem I did was called Cerebral Hypocrites. Oh, yes. Walking around in bamboo slippers and afros. Rocking around in bamboo slippers and afros. So. Anyways, the point of one of the lines from the poem, I'm trying to remember it so long ago. One of the lines from the poem is that you put your you put your left foot in shit, then your right foot in it, and walking around asking why you smell. People looking at you funny. It's not your lack of money or your natural style. It's the smack that you smell like shit. So stop using your look and your aesthetics as this is why X, Y, and Z. What are you telling me? Nothing. You know what I mean? What's inside? How do you treat people? How do you treat people? You know what I mean? And when I look at the how do you treat people, and I don't really see that genuine, essence and spirituality that the naturalness and the Afro and the dashiki promotes. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, well, what's happening? You know what I mean? And, to each his own, but it was not for me. And Garmamie, I'll be honest with you, it was so uncomfortable. It was super uncomfortable for someone like me.
You're referring to the scene, this poetry scene a decade ago?
In general. Yes, because I stepped out of it.
Right.
And it was the reason why I decided to refocus and just to focus my attention on schools and youth work, because again, poetry saved my life. My art saved my life. I grew up in an area in Toronto that, is a marginalized area of the society in Malvern. My school had a reputation for the violence and fights and all of that stuff. And I was in that environment. I was an artist who wrote and stayed out of that. My friends were artists in their own way who did their own thing and stayed out of a lot of those things that could have led us astray. So I went back and I started teaching. The first phone calls I made were to my old high school and say, hey, can I come back and teach? And they said, absolutely. And so I started doing that. My friends started to teach, so I started to get into the school system that way and start to do workshops. And, thanks to CBC and that credit that I got in 05 and 07, other schools in Ottawa started to invite me to do, to come back and to do these poetry workshops and teach spoken word, because there were poetry segments in the English curriculum, but there was nothing dedicated towards spoken word, and it was a new art form for the youth, and it was a way to catch their interest, but the teachers didn't know how to teach it. So now what I've done is really continue that mantra, because again, that's what this movement is about for me. Each one teach one. I am Mother Earth, dictated by the Father. You see, this young master picked his apple, and poof, like magic eye. With my ancient lessons, I cry pools of poems to reflect your greatness in this story. With my eyes, I mesmerize you to transmit your history. You see, there's no mystery in the makeup. I cover up their scars daily to let your beauty shine, so you can know life. And I may one day bow before my children in pride. If there Wa-ta-ta.
Thank you for listening to Conversations with Garmamie. For more information, visit garmamie.com. That's GARMAMIE.com. I'm also on Facebook at Conversations with Garmamie and YouTube at Conversations with G.ca.